Welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
And I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
And this is the Commercial Real Estate Investing Podcast where my brother Bo teaches me everything about commercial real estate, brokerage, commercial real estate investing. I'm an actor, comedian. I started, if you were to go back to episode number 1, I knew nothing. My biggest question for you during that, do you remember what my first question was?
I don't.
What is a broker?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you actually do for a living, big brother?
Yep, that's right. And so now we're near 100. We're almost to 100 episodes, and I'm almost there. I've almost got enough information about commercial real estate to make fun of anybody I talk to at a CCIM event to their face.
Well, we'll have to try it.
You don't think that's funny, do you?
Well,
does it sound too mean? Is it too mean?
So far, everybody likes you.
Yeah.
When I go to these events, everybody's like, how's Timmy doing and stuff? And, you know, when you showed up at a couple of them, it was almost like you were a celebrity.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of cool to watch. But start making fun of everybody, that dynamic could change a little bit.
Well, I'm not going to do that at all. That's utmost respect. Here's what it is. I've got so much information in my head that my appreciation for what commercial real estate professionals do is through the roof. Wow.
Nice.
Yes. There we
go. Good recovery.
That's better.
This episode is sponsored in part by the Massimo Group. Are you a commercial real estate broker looking to boost your business? The Massimo Group is the world's premier coaching organization, transforming the careers of brokers just like you, just like it did for me. Visit www.massimo-group.com today to get started and take your career to the next level. This episode is also brought to you by Site to Do Business, commercial real estate's most advanced toolkit, providing commercial real estate professionals like me with premier data, mapping, and marketing tools to win business and revolutionize decision-making. Visit stdb.com to learn more.
Bo, owner, director of Barron Commercial Group, Hearthstone Fund, all-around great dude. What are you teaching me today?
Well, I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine.
Okay.
From Boone, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
His name is James Milner.
Oh, I know James.
That's right. You guys have met.
Yeah, we met.
I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was it Houston?
Yeah, it was a CCIM event in Houston. That's right. We met at the bar up at the top there, and then.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That was just about a year ago.
Was it that long?
Or was Houston? No. It was Nashville was a year ago. Houston was in the fall. Yeah.
That's right. Cool.
Yeah. So, James, welcome, my friend.
I am so honored to be here. I'm having my fanboy moment. And Houston was a lot of fun. Got to meet you guys. Well, I knew Bo, like going way back. But Timmy, got to meet you, put a face with a name, which is always important. And you got to, the veil got pulled back of how the world of CCIM works. So
that's right.
We can unveil a little bit more to you today or answer any CCIM related questions that you have.
Yeah. Well, the first question I have is about you.
Okay.
Would you give us like a 5-minute origin story of you up until this point? And was commercial real estate something you always wanted to do? Was it in the family? How'd you fall into it? And let's start when, maybe two years old.
Okay. I came across the pond when I was 10, Timmy. Not a lot of people know that I grew up in England, and from when I was 3 to when I was 10. So,
including me, I had no idea.
Yeah, you learn something new every day, Bo Barron. And then, so grew up in a town called Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and on my 19th birthday, I came to Boone, North Carolina, home of Appalachian State University. I did a year and a half at the community college and then transferred into App State. And I graduated, over 20 years ago from App State, December of 2004. I worked as a real estate paralegal doing real estate transactions. That was fun. I started my first business in 2005. It was called Milner Research Services, and we did consulting and title work for attorneys. Oh. And then
Did you know that? Did you know he was paralegal?
I didn't.
Oh, no. It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then So was doing the paralegal thing a year after I graduated. I started my first business in '05, and somehow we wrote like this ridiculously huge check to a broker that did not do a lick of work. And I was like, okay, if it's that easy, I'm going to go get my real estate license. And that's what I did. I went and got my license and was like, so that was like '07, right?
Wait,
I
wait,
got
wait. I got a
my
question for you.
real estate license.
So,
And then on January 1st, 2008, I decided that I wanted to go commercial only. I was not interested in selling houses anymore. It's too motion. You know, I just couldn't deal with it. So I was a finance major, so I was pretty good with the numbers. And I walked into my boss's office one day and I said, I want to be the very best at commercial real estate. What do I need to do? And he said, go get your CCIM. And from 2008 to 2013, I worked on my CCIM designation. I got it in April of 13 in Chicago. I've been really involved with my state chapter, the North Carolina CCIM chapter. I was a chapter president in 2022. And then I've gotten pretty involved. All right, so Bo has taken like this instructor route. I took more of a committee route. And so I've served on a couple of different committees. I've served on the Professional Standards Committee, and I'm wrapping up this year. I'm the past chair of Designation, which is a really cool committee. It's just the committee in charge of making sure people get designated. They go from candidate to designee, and it's in charge of the process and the comprehensive exam. So in a nutshell, I love what I do. I have a beautiful wife. Her name is Catherine. I got 2 small boys, Peter and Ian, and we just love life here in Boone, North Carolina. High quality of life, a lot of recreation, but you can imagine a small tertiary market in Northwest North Carolina, not a whole lot of activity. The company that I now own and operate is called Appalachian Commercial Real Estate. We do sales, leasing, consulting, and appraisal services. So that's me
Sweet.
in a nutshell.
Sweet. Oh, you had a question?
Yeah, how many of those deals have you gotten the big check and done nothing?
One. Last
One?
year, last year I had a 6-digit rip and did fairly nothing. So
Yeah, were you about to say like
Well-
seems like nothing until you do it?
Well, my point in asking is, he saw that happen one time, jumped into the industry, hasn't looked back, and has done very well. But
Right.
like that hardly ever happens,
Yeah,
where you do nothing,
right.
or close to nothing.
Well, I'm
But
sure-
every so often.
Yeah, I'm sure our listeners are curious as to when it happens, how? How is that happening?
Well, James, how does it happen?
divine intervention. Being in the right place at the right time, and I think having good client relationships that either buyer clients or seller clients are going to trust you to make it easy on them.
Well, he just brought up a good point.
Okay.
He probably spent 10 years developing the kind of relationship that led to a deal where he almost had to do nothing. It's kind of like it took me 20 years to be an overnight success kind of thing.
Right.
It's that idea.
Right.
So if you look at one particular deal, maybe there wasn't a whole lot, but man, you laid the groundwork for that deal for years and years and years. Now, sometimes, like I remember I had a deal one time, it was a lease deal. It was a sophisticated landlord, and it was a big national company was the tenant. And, we did the work to win the listing, put it out there, attracted the big national tenant. but then the attorney for the tenant and the attorney for the landlord just sort of got together and did the lease.
Oh,
And it was a real nice fee. Well, once we kind of connected them and they knew that the space would work, well, I mean, we did some work, but like as far as lease negotiations and all that, it's almost like they left me out of that. And okay.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Sure.
Sometimes it's better to get out of the way than it is to create a problem. If those are all the people that Bo described, they're smart people. They can work it out. And if they need something from Bo, they're going to call him.
Right.
Yeah, and the thing is, here's the question. It is, am I willing to recognize that if the circumstances are right, I may not add a lot of value. Therefore, the quickest path to a completed transaction where everybody wins is for me to step back and kind of get out of the way. Now, when you do that, you give up control.
Yeah.
And you're not as in the loop. And for a lot of brokers, they really struggle not having control.
Yeah.
And so it's hard
Yeah.
for people to do that. And sometimes you might be worried, man, are they going to come back later and say, you didn't do anything, I'm not going to pay your fee or whatever.
Right.
You might have that kind of anxiety in the back of your mind. It
Right.
caused you to probably be more involved than you may need to be.
Right.
Most transactions require you to kind of quarterback the whole thing the whole way through,
Right.
every so often.
But that trust, it's got to go both ways. Because if you are going to be like, oh, I see in this situation here, stepping back might be better. It's because you trust the people who are handling it. Like,
Well,
else
we've
you
got a
wouldn't.
situation right now where we've got an out-of-state client that's pretty sophisticated. They're investors and developers. They've got a property here in Owensboro. And James, you've probably been in situations like this. And we've got a national retailer, and they're going back and forth. And all of a sudden, the landlord says, we're going to jump on a call with the tenant. And it's like, man, am I being cut out here?
Right.
And in this case, all of a sudden, they knock everything out. And it's one of these cases where, we haven't done nothing.
Right.
But at the end, you kind of just let them figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's going to work out in this case.
Yeah.
But that'll make a broker very nervous.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
But Bo, let me ask you a question. Sometimes it is better to I feel like I get the greatest not necessarily communication, but can get the deal moving in the right direction if I get them all together to work out pain points. Like you were saying, a lot of brokers don't want to do that. They don't want to put landlord and tenant or buyer and seller together. But me, I'm all about it. If you trust the people you're working with and there's a problem that needs to be worked out, sometimes it is best to just get on the horn and work it out.
that can be the case. I think the opposite can be the case as well, because sometimes our role as a buffer, because it may not just be a question of trust. If I trust Timmy, but he's a complete jerk, me playing the role as a buffer where he says, heck no, I'm not going to do that, blah, 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 blah. And I called James. I was like, James, Timmy respectfully declines and he wants to come back at this. Like, I can communicate the facts and take some of the negative emotion or attitudes out of it.
Sure.
And but what James is suggesting can really work if they're compatible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's probably just a gut call.
Yeah.
Your read of the situation.
Sure.
I would
Sure.
agree with that.
There's dangers either way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And benefits either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or potential benefits either way.
Yeah. So James, you're the Appalachian commercial real estate. Is that what it's
so
called?
Appalachian. Sorry, I got
Appalachian.
to do it. It's like nails on a chalkboard.
I get it.
Appalachian, like a door latch, commercial real estate. Yeah.
Yes. So that's a brokerage. How long have you? Remind me how long you've had that open?
2014.
2014. Oh wow. Okay. And then, so do you have aspirations to teach at CCIM, like Bo?
I could possibly do it. I don't think now is the right time. Where I'm passionate, I'm sure your brother is very passionate about teaching, but
Yeah.
where I'm passionate about is candidates. And any candidate nationwide that has a problem getting through candidacy, and the biggest joy that I get is seeing those candidates take their comprehensive exam, pass their comprehensive exam, and go to the pinning ceremony. That's what brings me joy. But could I teach one day? Yeah, possibly, just not anytime soon.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, what does it entail? Like it's somebody's got an issue, or there's somebody that's going through the program, they're a candidate, and what are some of the most common things that are holding people back, and how do you step in? I'm just curious how that works.
So it works a couple of different ways. One way is at a chapter level. So every chapter of CCIM has these people called chapter candidate guidance representatives. And so as candidates usually come up through a chapter, there's someone to help them. For example, I'm the guy in North Carolina. So if you're in North Carolina, you got a candidate issue, I'm one of two people that you can call and reach out to. A lot of it, or a lot of the problems that we seem to see is just questions around that portfolio piece. So as your brother talked to you about the portfolio of qualifying experience, and there are 3 ways to get there. You can do 3 transactions of 30 million or more, exactly 10 of 10 million or more, or 20, regardless of volume. And so a lot of the issues around candidacy usually are tied to their portfolio, and we just graded portfolios for the spring exam. There was over 160 of them, Bo. And,
oh, wow.
Which means that there's probably an exam class of close to 200, because you got fast track candidates and other people who don't necessarily go through that process. But
And you can complete your portfolio ahead of time. Like, you don't have to take
Yeah.
the next comprehensive exam, right?
So the general rule is that you can complete your portfolio anytime after completing 101. So as long as you've taken 101, you can submit a portfolio. Now, we just did institute a rule that says once you submit your portfolio and it's approved, you have up to 2 years to take your first try at the exam.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but
This is interesting, because I don't think I've we haven't dug into like the way CCIM works when you're in, or as you're a candidate and stuff, like briefly.
How about I give you my experience putting my portfolio together back in 07?
Yeah.
And James can come in behind that and kind of talk about what it looks like now, because I'm sure it's not exactly the same. Back then, he said 3 deals for 30 million. I think it was 20 million instead of 30. But I don't remember if I did 10 years or 20 years. I'm sorry, 10 deals or 20 deals. I think I did the 10 deal one. And it had to be a certain amount of. But here's what you have to do. You have to substantiate with documentation that you were materially involved in the deal.
So can you say that in English?
It means I have to produce paperwork with my signature on it, or something from my managing broker, who's our dad at the time.
Right.
But I'm producing a listing agreement with my signature on it, maybe a closing statement, purchase agreements. I'm showing that I was involved in the deal because my name is on it.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
So yes, I'm saying I did this deal. Here's the proof that I did the deal. And there's different ways to do that. But generally, James, it's probably still the same. I have no idea what it looks like now, but I would assume, listing agreement, purchase agreement with my signature, my name. It shows I was materially involved in this deal. This was my deal.
Yeah.
If you're tangentially involved and maybe not on the listing agreement, you can get a letter from your broker stipulating, or it used to be the case at least, that the broker just says he was very involved in the deal. Here's what he did in the deal. sign it, and then potentially, does that still work, James?
Yeah, and everything you're describing is called the proof of material participation.
Yep.
So you can still get a letter from your client or supervisor. Has to be notarized, but typically in that bucket of proof of material participation, it was the things you were talking about, your LOI, PSA, agency, that kind of stuff.
And then I had to write a bit of a narrative on each of the deals that demonstrated that I understand and used the CCIM education, the principles in the deal.
Yeah. Okay.
That I was employing what I learned in the deal, which, man, that takes some work. So here's what some people do, including me.
Yeah.
They take their education, and I took the 4 classes over 2 years, and then it took me another 2 years to qualify, to get the required experience to hit the 10 million or whatever.
Yeah. To get your proof of material participation.
No, it wasn't that. It was I did enough deals to qualify under the volume requirement.
Oh, okay.
Like to get 10 deals that were big enough to hit. It might even been 5 million back then. And so it took me a while. And what I didn't do was kind of create a folder on every deal and get the documentation as I was doing the deals.
Yeah.
And so I had to go back. And of course I waited till 4 days before my portfolio was due for submission. And I'm trying to get this documentation and figure everything out. So a best practice, those of you candidates, as you're doing the deals, go ahead and collect the paperwork that you need so that when you go to submit, you've already got it. And you're not scrambling like most of us probably were, but certainly I was. But it was a project.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's more than just doing the deals, which is a project in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's more than just completing the education. You don't earn the designation until you've actually got enough qualifying experience to earn it.
Right.
So it's not just passing classes. You got to do the deals so that when you see somebody with the pin, with the designation, you know, not only did they pass the education, but they've done the requisite amount of deals to be an expert in our field.
Yeah.
And so you can trust the designation.
Right.
You know, and then you got to go, once your portfolio is approved, then you can go take the comprehensive exam.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And when we were in Houston, we had a whole slew of people, because they do this twice a year, that took the comprehensive exam there in Houston.
Oh, right. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And so to prove that you deployed what you learned at CCIM, how do you do that?
Well,
Portfolio.
I mean, that's what the portfolio is. But I remember what I did is I wrote a narrative, and I would talk about the concepts from the course and how we used them in the deal.
Yeah.
And I even included like some of the, the spreadsheets and stuff that I did using, cash flow models and, discounted the DCFs and all the other types of stuff that we learn in the class. And you just kind of show your work, like in math class in high school to some extent.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I overdid it or if that's required, but I was trying to show, hey, look, I know how to do this stuff, and I've used it in real life, and it worked, and the deals got done.
Right.
Therefore, you can feel good about me wearing the pin.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. What else, James?
So the part that Bo is talking about is the part called an activity data form. And so the activity data form is like a summary of your transaction. And I really like what Bo, I might take that back to the grading subgroup, Bo, to see if we can put a little bit more emphasis on how you used CCIM tools for your deal, because we've gotten very far away from candidates actually showing us how, what tools did they use. The last bucket is evidence that the transaction is complete. So that's like your fully executed deed or fully executed settlement statement. And, we have different portfolio types. There's a traditional portfolio, which is if you have more than 2 years of experience but less than 5, most people do traditional. They're streamlined. So Timmy, if you're 5 or more years in the business, we're going to kind of pare down the requirements because you have been at this a long time,
Yeah.
5 or more years, and then
And what's
we
that
have
called?
That's
the
called
streamlined.
streamlined.
Streamline. Okay.
And then we have something called streamlined non-transactional, which is designed for folks who are heads of very large organizations and don't necessarily procure transactions. So we're trying to find a way that if you're touching commercial real estate in some way, you can obtain the designation. You know, there's traditional brokerage, there's analysts, there's a path for commercial real estate appraisers, there's a path for commercial mortgage lending folks, there's a path for developers. So we're, one of the things that my committee is working on right now is trying to write the language for a path for commercial real estate attorneys to obtain the PIN. So we're trying to find ways we can't invite everyone to the country club, but we certainly want to be as exclusive or inclusive as possible.
Right. Without being too
Without diluting the
Yeah.
value of the designation.
Right.
Yep.
Right. That sounds smart. This is so fascinating to me.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah. Well, it's just the understanding what all it goes through at a deeper level. That's what's fascinating to me with CCIM, and hearing it from his point of view too, of what does happen. And I'm sure our listeners as well, especially with all the brokers that we have that listen, this is good, valuable.
I've got a question. James, this is for all the candidates that are going to hear this episode. Okay.
Okay.
What are the top 3 reasons why a portfolio gets denied and kicked back?
Yes.
Oh, this is a good one. Hey, by the way, before I answer that question, do you know Sam Gray from Louisville?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I graded his portfolio and I approved his portfolio.
Yeah.
So if Sam, you're listening to this episode, congrats. We'll see you in Miami.
I met Sam when I taught 102 in Louisville. He was my student, and now he's on the board of the chapter with me.
Nice.
And he's taking the exam in Miami, and he'll definitely pass. Dude's very, very bright.
Let's go, Sam.
Sam.
Yeah, I'll be there to pin him. So I'm excited.
Congrats.
But to answer your question, common mistakes that we see in the grading process for your portfolio is, I'd say number 1, incomplete information. So you have not met the requirements of getting the right thing in the right bucket. So if it's a sale, you need a fully executed settlement statement signed by both buyer and seller. If it's a lease deal, you have to have a fully executed lease. And then you have to have, in addition to evidence that the transaction is complete, you have to have proof of material participation. Commonly, we see an issue where they don't have their recommendations. So they may have called Bo and said, Bo, will you fill out my chapter recommendation or my designee recommendation? And Bo's like, yeah, I'll do that, no problem. And then Bo gets real busy and he forgets to send it in. And then we get to the grading session, we're like, hey man, where's Bo's recommendation? A third is just...
Wait.
Okay.
Let's be clear. I write a lot of recommendations.
He does.
Because the
I see a
students
lot of
tell
them.
me, because some of them have had me, and then the ones in Kentucky, like anytime the chapter needs somebody to write a letter of recommendation, like they ask me to do it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these folks have been my students, and I actually know who they are. And, so I do them. James is not suggesting that I forget to do the letter of recommendation. Yeah. So
you're a fictional example.
Yes.
And then the last thing is just, I think we see a big problem in brevity that whether it's an activity data form or it's their summary of qualifying activities, they just aren't really giving a whole lot of detail to get comfortable with the deal that they're trying to present. I don't need a dissertation in 6 paragraphs, but I also don't need one sentence saying, I did this deal, I repped the seller, it was great.
Yeah. I'd imagine that is the voice in your head when you see that. those kind of very vague sentences.
I thought one of your top 3 would be candidates trying to use residential type transactions.
Well, we have a whole list that is non-qualifying activities, right? So I think if they are, when they go to portfolio.ccim.com, they're signing an attestation that says I've read the portfolio handbook, and in the portfolio handbook, it makes it very clear what they can use and what they can't use. Now, sometimes candidates hate to admit this, but they don't read it, and it's frustrating. But there's a whole laundry. I actually go pull it right now. Hold on a second. I got a hard copy.
Aha! Of course you do.
This is the portfolio handbook. I like the hard copy myself, but to answer
I just saw a thumbnail.
For example, you can't, the sale, purchase, development, or exchange of any residential property of 4 or less units. So that's a non-qualifying activity.
Okay.
Gotcha.
To prevent you from having to read all this, let me throw a couple scenarios at you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say I sell a 4-plex. Does that qualify or not?
No.
No, right? Because it's 4 or less.
Right.
Well, what if I sell a portfolio of 6 duplexes? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. That's actually 12 units. It's a portfolio of investment. All right. What if I sell a portfolio of 20 single-family rental properties? Yes or no? What do you think?
Yes.
That would count. It's a portfolio of investment properties. So once you get over 5 units in one portfolio deal, you're good.
That counts as one?
That counts as one transaction.
So, okay. So if I did, so if I got 4 unit, I do one of those, it doesn't qualify. But I do 3 of those, put that in the portfolio, that qualifies as one.
Yes.
Okay.
So right now we have 6 duplexes under contract. Mm-hmm. Todd's deal. All right.
Yeah.
If Todd were to
producer Todd Humphreys.
That's right. Top producer Todd. We hadn't said his name in an episode lately.
I know. Yeah.
So if he were to sell them off piece by piece, 6 duplex deals,
Yeah.
he couldn't use any of those for his for qualifying experience to try to get his designation later on. But if he does one deal with a portfolio of 6 duplexes, well, that's 12 units.
That was my question.
That counts as one deal.
Okay, so I can't do a bunch of deals and put them together. No, so
they're going to happen at the same time on the same settlement statement. Yep.
Gotcha. And that's
Yep.
Yeah, some new information.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I can see where the confusion could come in then, right? Because I would have been like, oh wait, no, but I sold 12 single family homes, and I put them together in the portfolio. It's like, no, it's all got to be one deal,
one transaction.
Yeah,
that's right.
I had a portfolio this grading session, Bo, where the guy did 18 lots. So yeah, and he sold them all at once.
Wow.
And he also did the development component of it as well. But that is actually a very cool aspect, Timmy, of grading portfolios, because you get to see commercial real estate nationwide, what these candidates are actually doing. Like my big rub right now is like these teams of 3 or 4 people where the junior guy is like at the very bottom of the rung. And, it's hard for me to wrap my head around material participation. He probably does, or he or she probably does the majority of the work. But, that we also ask a question of, well, what did you get paid on the transaction? And what these very fourth rung associates are getting paid is, it's embarrassing. I'm like, how are you making a living?
Yeah.
So
It's called deal flow and reps.
Right.
They need a lot of those grounders. I'll tell you though, I lost it. What was he saying? He's talking about for that fourth person on the team that's a low man on the totem pole who may or may not be doing most of the work, but they're definitely getting the smallest paycheck. If they had to give a narrative where they demonstrate what they did, where they show their work, that would really alleviate the issue, I think, kind of going back to what we were talking about before.
yeah, and for the most part they do. Is just, if there's one aspect of the business or industry that I could change is team dynamics. Just because I see a lot of these every year where they're applying for designation, and it's like it's painful. But then again, I've also always been by myself, so I don't know
Yeah.
how that works.
What? Hey, I've got a question about Boone, North Carolina.
Okay.
I looked up Boone right before we jumped on here.
Yeah.
And this place it's like if you took Murray, Kentucky and dropped it in the Appalachian Mountains.
Uh-huh.
You've got Boone. Population what? Around 20, 25,000?
Are we counting the university or not?
I don't know. I spent my 5 minutes reading about it, so I don't know if it was counting the university or not. But how big's the university?
20,000 plus minus.
Okay, so I would say no then. That's bigger than I thought. Murray State, when I was there, had about 8,000. It's probably about 12,000 now, if I had to guess, but I'm guessing.
So if we look at it, Bo, from like a county perspective, I knew at some point you were going to get all 102 on me and start talking site to do business stuff. If we look at it from a county level, right, it's about 50,000 folks in all of Watauga County. And generally, we will split that pretty evenly between the town of Boone, which is 15 to 20,000, and then Appalachian State University, which includes both students, faculty, staff, right? So their student population is well over 20, but then you go add all the faculty and staff, and so that's kind of how we get to 50,000 plus or minus.
Well, here's my actual question about Boone. You guys were just hammered by Hurricane Helene. Is it Helene or Helena?
Helene.
Helene. Tell me about that. Like how long ago was that now?
Okay, so on September 27th, 2024, we had an event that totally rocked our community. And what's even scarier is that I wasn't even here because I was in Houston for governance the night before. So the day of the storm was a Friday. And then the night before, my wife looked at me straight in the face and she said, if you don't leave Watauga County right now, you're not leaving at all. Tomorrow morning, you won't be able to even get out of the county.
Yeah.
She ended up being right, by the way. God bless spouses. So I was on that Friday morning, I'm in Charlotte in a hotel room watching the local news of my town just getting absolutely pummeled.
As a commercial real estate broker, your success depends on the right strategies and guidance. The Massimo Group, the world's top coaching organization for brokers, can help you scale your business and increase your income. And as a former client, I've personally experienced how their coaching can transform not only your career, but also your life. Don't wait to grow. Head to www.massimo-group.com today and see how their proven systems can work for you. This episode is also brought to you by Site to Do Business, the ultimate commercial real estate data analysis and mapping tool. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, Site to Do Business provides the data and insights you need to make informed decisions and close deals faster. Frankly, it's the tool that I use the most in my business. Access comprehensive market analysis, demographic data, and powerful mapping tools like ArcGIS, Placer AI, and Flood Maps all in one place. Identify the best locations for your clients, analyze market trends, and present your findings with confidence. Don't miss out on this game-changing platform. Visit stdb.com today and see how it can optimize your business. And now back to the show.
By water. And then I got on a flight to go to Houston, and then I didn't physically come back to Boone until that Wednesday, where I got to see it with my own two eyes.
Yeah.
And what's really frustrating about that storm is that, you come to like Metro Boone, where the university is, and all commerce, right? And most of Boone is fine. But I could take you a mile and a half down the street and show you utter devastation. And then as I take you counties south, right, and we start going towards Asheville, North Carolina, it just gets worse and worse and worse, to the point where if you go to like the River Arts District in Asheville, that is just, and Biltmore Village, it was just totally wiped off the face of the earth.
Wow.
So going back to your question, for about 6 to 8 weeks, kids didn't have school. That was very difficult in itself. Are not open, and it has had a economic catastrophe in our immediate area. It's let me tee it up this way, Bo. The month we're in a recreation, high recreation environment, very seasonal employment, right? So people come here typically in the fall to look at leaves or go drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway. When that event occurred on September 27th, all of these businesses lose their income for the month of October, which is their bread and butter month, right?
Be like retailers not having Black Friday.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So, and they need that October money in order to carry them through months like January, February, and March, when it's very cold, not as many people coming to town, etc. So you can understand the economic impact of that, of not operating in the, and we're talking both mom and pop businesses and like top 5 employers, right? So everyone, the storm shows no bars, or doesn't hold back to who you are as a business.
Yeah.
As a result of the storm, we have started to see, more specifically, restaurant operators start shutting their doors, right? That's probably the one aspect of our industry that's been most affected. Is
How long did that take? How long did it take for them to
Decide to shut down?
Yeah.
Some of them were very close, and like we had a couple announcements a few weeks ago. So I mean, we're coming up on 6
months. Yeah.
months. So the point being is that these businesses only had so much cash on hand,
Sure.
in order to float, until they can't float anymore.
Yeah.
And the other thing, Bo, is that they're not only struggling on the business side of things, but these are people friends and family members who are dealing with the personal side. Like, yeah, I got my business issue, but my house just washed down the creek, and so, or my kids aren't in school, for 6 to 8 weeks, that, so it's a double-edged sword. And, hopefully, we're having the right conversations. The number one cheerleader and instigator of economic redevelopment is our chamber, and they're kind of, and then our governor also came out and said, hey, we're going to get together and with a health trust and do small business grants, right? No small business wants to take out another loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
They need a grant. And so we're doing the best we can. We take one day at a time and try and move forward. But to say that our economy has not been impacted by that event is false. It came with a slew of other problems because, as you can imagine, there's a very tight market to begin with, right? Have you talked to your brother about supply and demand?
Oh yeah.
The impact of supply and demand on
Oh yeah.
price, right? So a very tight market to begin with. No such thing as swing space in Boone, right? So there's nowhere for these businesses to go temporarily. It created issue. There wasn't one building that we were dealing with that wasn't impacted in some way, shape, or form. Most of it had to do with mucking out and getting this like physical mud out of the building or space.
Man, can you imagine?
No, I know. And like, there's all these businesses and houses that are just gone or really damaged, can't do your stuff. And then just thinking about it from a commercial real estate professional's perspective or a brokerage, what do you do? What have you been doing for the last 6 months? What do you do from that perspective?
Well, I just try to keep my deals together on the very thin string of thread that they were on. So part of it is just trying to maintain what we had going on prior to September 27th.
Yeah.
The second thing, Timmy, is that, me personally, I put my money where my mouth is, and I made a big donation to the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce Foundation for business stabilization, right? So it was very important to me that any business that was in the Boone area, if just to get them stabilized, and the chamber was kind of running that charge.
Yeah.
And so a lot of different business people kind of got together, and the chamber created this fund, and was able to help other businesses.
Yeah.
And lastly, Timmy, I just say that, we're so relationship based here in Boone that sometimes we just stop and we just listen. We are an ear to whatever is on their mind, right? Yeah. And some of those conversations were really tough, but sometimes you just got to get it off your chest. And we've had some of those tough conversations with both users and owners of real estate. And, that's, in a nutshell, why we do what we do is we just want to help people.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. The people who are able to be able to contribute and help to get things back up and running so that everybody can get back to work and everybody can start growing as a community. That's it's hard to comprehend, like the devastation like that, and then of course you got the fires in LA as well. And that hurricane too, that hit so many places.
That one in particular.
That one in particular hit so many places.
Like different than usual places.
Right.
Like, how often do y'all deal with a hurricane?
Well, in the mountains, not very often.
Yeah.
The problem, Bo, on that one event is that while the hurricane came up that Friday, it started raining on Tuesday and it didn't stop. So we had an entire week where it's just pounding rain.
Y'all had like mudslides and all that.
Yeah. And you were away from your family. I assumed Peter and Ian and your wife were there in Boone.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that must have been scary.
And he was with us.
Was that at the time?
Yeah.
No.
That was when we were together in Houston.
The hurricane was happening while we were in Houston?
Well, that Friday, and then we were in governance meetings on that until that Tuesday, and then I flew out. Yeah, I flew out, I think, that Tuesday afternoon. So the Friday that I got to Houston, I was not in a good place mentally because I was just pretty overwhelmed by, what was happening. I think, obviously in Boone, my family was without power, without water, sewer for a while, and that all got back on. The other thing is that, my immediate family situation is similar to you guys in that I got all of Catherine's family is close by, right? So we're pretty tight-knit clan, and if there's a problem with one of us, we can all jump in and help. So, but what the biggest problem was with we have a local co-op called Blue Ridge Electric, and man, those guys and gals worked nonstop, 24 hours a day, just for power, right? If you think about rural Northwest North Carolina, a lot of the homes are on what we call private well and septic. And so in order to get water into your house, you have a private well, which has a well pump. Well, if there's no power to that well pump, then you can't get water into your house. And so regular power, water, those guys at Blue Ridge worked nonstop for, I think it took them 6+ weeks to work through every situation. It included setting a whole lot of new power poles. And the cool thing is that other local co-ops came and supported them. So they weren't doing all the work necessarily.
Yeah. Wow.
I think about the market analysis stuff that we do.
Yeah.
Not just what we teach, but like what we use in Hearthstone. Like we've recently looked at Jacksonville, Florida, and Myrtle Beach, and it's all numbers. Everything we're looking at is numbers.
Right.
Economic-based multipliers, all that demographic and psychographic stuff. It's all numbers.
Like Severance. Have you been watching Severance?
No.
Okay.
I've watched a few episodes, so I do know it's a show. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But man, when you hear James talk about the impact of that hurricane on that town, it's like all those numbers are actually people.
Right.
Yeah.
And
when I'm doing a market analysis, I never actually think about the people on the other side of those numbers.
Right.
They're, you're just trying to figure out if you like a market or not and stuff. But
right. Business.
It's like there's actually people on the other side of it. Here's what I think. I don't know much about Boone, James, so you can tell me if my gut here is correct. But you've got the university, which is certainly your largest employer, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And those are basic jobs, right? Who are your other top 3 employers in town?
The county, so Watauga County, whether that's Watauga County Schools or Watauga County Government, and then Appalachian Regional Healthcare System, or UNC Health Appalachian is another one. A lot of people don't know this, but Samaritan's Purse is actually headquartered here in Boone, and they're a top 5 employer.
Do you remember Are you familiar with Samaritan's Purse?
No.
Isn't it a Graham family ministry, like Billy Graham's family?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they were out in Asheville, correct? Originally? Or when I think of Billy Graham and all that, I think Asheville, North Carolina, but maybe that's not right.
Yeah.
But okay. So a lot of those jobs are basic jobs.
Yeah.
And especially the university, which is a state land grant university, correct?
Yes.
So like they're getting funding from outside that community, which means those dollars are still going to flow into Boone.
Yeah.
And when my guess is you guys might still be finishing up the cleanup 6 months later from that storm, but people are going to start to rebuild.
Right.
I'm sure some have already, but those construction jobs that will come in to do that, that category will spike as a basic category for a period of time, and then it'll go back to what it was before. But a lot of times on the other end of these kind of disasters, you see an economic boom on the other side.
Yeah.
They're going to go through a tremendous amount. You know, they're 6 months into a tremendous amount of economic disruption and pain.
Yeah.
But man, there's a time where I don't know how long it'll take. I have no idea. But I fully expect Boone to be restored and revitalized.
Yeah.
Like it'll be built back. Do you agree? I guess.
I think it's going to take a very long time. But we are also dealing with forces that we were dealing with before the storm, right? So local government that's anti-growth, anti-development, a very high barrier to entry. So in order just to get back to our place of normalcy, I expect it to take beyond 12 to 18 months just to get back to where we were on that day in September.
Not as long as I thought.
Yeah, I had the same thought. When you said long time, I was thinking 5 years or something, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see things. I do not want more businesses to shut down. That isn't helpful. It has a downward spiral. It has a large economic impact.
Sure.
I just want to move forward in a positive way. That's really what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was fascinating. I didn't expect to go into the story of post-hurricane. It's fascinating as well.
Yeah. I didn't realize it happened while we were all in Houston.
I didn't either. Like I knew.
But I was curious.
Yeah. Because I thought I was in Louisville when it was happening. But I must have gone to Louisville right after Houston, right away. But anyway, yeah. Where are we at? Oh, wow. That flew by. That flew by.
Well, I do have a question.
Yeah.
You want to do a pop quiz?
Yeah. Woo-woo.
All right, James is a guy who I know is a fan of the show and has watched other episodes you've seen us do. The pop quiz. And as our guest, you get to go first. We're going to ask Timmy 5 questions, and we're going to alternate, but you're going to ask him questions 1, 3, and 5. Here are the rules. No rules. You're going to ask him anything you want. All right. A lot of our guests, our last guest gave him a bunch of layups based on things we just talked about. You're welcome to do that. However, if you want to try to play Stump Timmy, you're welcome to do that as well. So, James, question number 1.
A couple of episodes ago, you guys talked about APODs. What is in between PGI and NOI? Now your brother calls it different terms. I have more of an appraisal background, but what is in between potential gross income and NOI?
This is a great question.
Yeah, potential gross income, net operating income.
There's actually 2 things, and you can give me one of the 2, but I'm looking for the true middle thing. What is the main middle thing between PGI and NOI.
And would you accept kind of a main rolled up category of things?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm flexible in the answer.
Yeah.
If I actually pull this off on the first try, I'm gonna be like,
Yeah. And you might. The things that are in my head right now are like internal rate of return, but that's not it. All right. So PGI.
Potential gross income. Do you remember what that is?
Yeah, that's if everything goes right? If everything goes right, this is what, or if everything was full, everything was good, that would be your potential, right? You got your net operating income, which is what you end up getting after you factor out all the expenses, right?
Okay. Keep working it.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
So it's another type of income, obviously, right? Is that what I'm looking for? Another category of income? Or
keep working it, buddy.
Yeah.
You got it.
You got debt.
You're working it.
Which probably you can see the whole like net operating income list, right? And what you go through to get there, and what we started with. Potential.
You want us to help you out there, buddy?
Yeah, give me a clue, maybe, or a hint.
This is after a deduction for vacancy and collection loss. Is this item?
Yeah. Okay. You got vacancy collection. Oh man, I hate this. It's there, but for the sake of time, what are the initials?
Well, I call it EGI, but your brother probably calls it something different. What did you call it a couple of weeks ago, Bo?
I don't even remember.
Well, it stands for effective gross income.
So you take vacancy, credit loss.
Right.
You add back in other income.
Yes.
Parking, laundry,
Yeah.
all that, whatever other stuff.
Right.
You get effective gross income.
Yep. Great
then-
question.
And then you take out operating expenses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that gets you down to the NOI.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Great question.
That's a good question.
That was a really good question.
It's almost as if he came prepared for the quiz.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
That was nicely done.
That was a great question. I was so ready to answer some CCIM designate questions, which
Well,
that might still happen, but
I got one for you.
okay.
Question 2.
Okay.
What are the 3 ways you can qualify with your portfolio?
You do 3 deals of 30 million or more.
Okay. Wait. Just to be clear, you're
Yeah.
right. 3 deals that add up to 30 or more. They don't each have to be 30 or more.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Or 10 deals that add up to 10 million a piece, or 10 million or more.
Yep. Exactly 10 deals.
Yeah.
That are 10 million or more in volume.
Or
total.
20 deals of any amount.
That is correct.
Right? I didn't even look at my notes.
That was very good.
Didn't
Nicely
even
done.
look at my notes.
My notes.
My notes.
All right. James, question 3.
How many years of full-time commercial real estate experience do you have to have in order to submit a streamlined portfolio?
5.
Correct.
5 it is.
Yeah.
Five
Guess
or
what?
more.
Bonus question.
Okay.
Wait, this will just be question 4.
Okay.
Nah, this is just
No,
bonus question.
give me a bonus.
What's the minimum amount of years?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't talk about this. What's the minimum amount of years you have to have as full-time as a commercial real estate professional to earn your designation?
2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Nicely done.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. And again, I didn't have to look at my notes.
Notes.
This is fun to say.
All right. Question 4.
I mean, I don't know if I want to give them another hard one. I feel
Question
bad
4 is
for the
mine.
first-
Like,
Yeah.
that last one I asked him was just a bonus question. So,
Okay.
like, what you've got a whole question 4 to think of your question 5.
Yeah.
Question 4. What's the name of the county that Boone, North Carolina is in?
Oh, I'm going to have to look at my notes. Because I think I wrote that down. It's Appalachia. But that's not the county. It sounded like a Native American tribe, which Tanaka or something like that. I don't think I wrote it down.
James,
Starts with a W.
Yes.
what would you accept that answer?
Did
So
it
what
start
would you
with
call
a
it?
W? No. I
No. Like you actually said it.
I said Wichita.
No. There's
No.
Close, but no cigar.
Yeah. Do you remember what it is?
Well, I'm second guessing myself now.
Winnetka?
Close.
Winnekacha?
Wanatuga?
Gosh, you guys are hilarious.
Watauga.
Watauga.
Winnekacha.
Watauga was actually named after a river, the Watauga River.
Watauga.
But who named the
Watauga.
river?
Say what? The Native Americans?
Yeah, Watauga.
Watauga.
Well,
All right.
Bonus if you can spell Watauga correctly.
the W-I...
An I. Where are you getting an I from, buddy?
With?
Watauga.
Oh, W-A...
I would have gone with I too.
Yeah, Watauga. W-A-T-A-G-G-A.
Watauga. Watauga.
U-G-A. I knew there had to been.
There's going to be a U in there somewhere. I would have put it in the wrong place though.
Yeah. Watauga. All right, good question. Don't give me half a point on that one.
No.
No?
All right. I'll give you half a point just because I didn't know the answer either.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. James, question 5.
All right. If I'm going to ask you a non-designated, because we've had lots of fun, but really a test of your knowledge of commercial real estate is what I'm after. So, with that in mind, primarily a capitalization rate is a measurement of what?
A snapshot in time of the value of the property in that moment.
True. I understand that you're trying to define what a capitalization rate is, but
Yeah.
we all know what it is. What is it primarily a measurement of?
One word, 4
One
letters.
word.
And you've definitely heard me say this.
Yeah. I don't know.
Do you want to take this one, Bo, or you want me to?
All it is a measurement of risk.
Yes.
Risk.
A measurement of risk, man. Come on. So if you have a low cap rate, it is determined to have lower risk, whereas if you have a higher cap rate, it is telling the investor that there is a lot of risk associated with the said deal. So,
Look, he took that question of what is a cap rate to another level, which I really appreciate. Risk. It wasn't.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
Hey, James, a couple questions. Where can people find you if they want to find you, or if you want them to find you? Where can they find you? And number 2, if anybody would like to donate to Boone County or Watauga County or Boone for the rebuild of the community, throw that in there too.
Sure. So let me actually start with that part first, because that's a little easier. Our great friends at the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce have a foundation. And if you'll go to boonechamber.com/foundation, you can make a donation. And they have a fund that is specifically designed for business stabilization and getting small businesses back on track. And they're actually working on their 3rd round of funding, or giving out money right now. So they've done an excellent job.
Great. Will you
If
say it
you-
one more time for those that
Yeah.
were in traffic?
boonechamber.com/foundation.
Great.
And that'll
Just did it. It's so easy.
So easy.
Yeah.
Right there. Nice.
um,
Wow.
the-
$1 million. Thank you, Bo.
I hope Bo takes some of that instructor money that he gets, because I know he makes it by just ridiculous amounts, and just write a big fat check, Bo, to
Boone.
To Boone. If you want to find me, I'm kind of all over the place on socials. It's James R. Milner, or even TikTok is Boone CRE. But if you want to learn a little bit more about our company and what we're doing and how you can help, our website is www.appalachiancre.com. So,
And he said it correctly. That's good. You said
you want me to
Appalachian.
spell it for you, Timmy?
Do it for me
right.
and the listeners.
Yeah, it's Appalachiancre, Charlie Romeo Echo.com.
Nice. Thank you. Excellent. James, this was great. For anybody that's listening right now on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe, ding that little bell. There's a lot of people that watch that aren't subscribed. It boggles my mind.
That's
if
true.
you're watching,
Yeah.
hit subscribe. Leave us some comments about what you want Bo to teach me. I would love to learn those things. Share this with somebody that you thought of while you're listening to this. Go ahead and share it with them. Helps us out a great deal. If you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we will shout it out right here. I went through, there were lots of comments on a lot of YouTube videos that I have not seen in a while. On our next episode, I'll compile those and we'll do some shout outs there. Also, you can follow us on social media at Commercially Speaking, or on X at ComSpeakPod, COM Speak Pod. On Thursdays, we've got a newsletter. It's free. How do people subscribe to that?
So you go to I always mess it up.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.wgbarron.com. And what that newsletter is we curate just some great information for business professionals. Not all commercial real estate related. Some of it's negotiation, some of it's leadership, how to develop great company culture, that kind of stuff. It also includes an episode of the podcast, so you don't ever have to miss another one, delivered straight to your inbox. And so we'd love to have you over there. It's free. We don't try to sell you stuff.
Nope.
Or abuse your email in any way.
It comes every Thursday. It's great. And then Bo's got a CRE marketing mastermind that's coming up. You can get on the waiting list on that.
That is right.
It's amazing.
We got a CRE marketing mastermind. We're going to take 40 people through a 7-session process over the period of about 3 months, where we're going to help you just ignore all the noise, focus on the things that actually work, and come up with a year-long plan on how to really just drastically improve the marketing of your commercial real estate company or practice. And really excited about it. Partnering up with Wes Gay, who's on the podcast a handful of months ago. He's a copywriting and marketing expert.
Yeah, he is.
And if you go to wesgay.com, WESGAY.com/CS, you can put your name on the waiting list. And once we launch that, you'll be the first to get notified.
That's right. James, do you have a virtual assistant?
I do not, but I do want listeners to know that link does work, because I used it myself. And
My man.
On the wait list.
So I'm on the wait list. And in the interim, you will get some great information from Wes Gay, who is a very smart man. So I look forward to it, Bo. But I do not use a virtual assistant. I know you want your virtual assistant plug here, right now.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Right now, we talk about her on every single episode. We say goodbye to her all the time. Her name is Alice. We love her very, very much. She helped solve our issue at the beginning of our audio issue, technical issue at the beginning of trying to record this. But she has really changed Bo's life in an incredible way. I have seen it. Everything from time management to health to accountability. it's phenomenal to watch. And I'm speaking for you here, but
No, you're doing a great job. Keep rolling.
10x productivity, eliminate the suck. And Alice is now going to be talking with other virtual assistants that are going to commercial real estate people. So if you want an Alice, because I know a lot of people are reaching out to Bo saying, how do I get one? Does she have a sister? Well, you can't have Alice, but she can talk to yours.
I literally have been asked, does Alice have a sister?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
She does, in fact.
That's right.
But if you can't have Alice, but if you want someone like Alice, go to superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. You can sign up for just kind of an intro call to see if it's a good fit.
Yeah.
And
They make it easy.
Man, you will not be sorry.
Yeah. For those in the back, it's superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. And I think that's it. We'll see you all next Monday. James, thank you so much for being here, man. This is fascinating.
Yeah, man, it was great to have you
I
on.
can attest to Alice. She is the best. She made this podcast happen today.
Yep.
And all Bo said was, hey, we want James to come on. And like, poof, she made it.
She did it.
She handled the rest.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, I love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Yeah.
James, great to see you.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Alice.
Bye.
Yay! See y'all next Monday.